So we know how to bring in media files to our project if they already exist in a folder on our system. But often, the media will be coming in straight from the source, that is, from a camera card. So let's take a look at how to do that. And just so you know, if you're following along with the exercise files, we haven't provided camera card media for you, but you can feel free to follow along with your own card. And just so you know, I'm in a blank project without any media, so you can feel free to set one up yourself as well. Now, first things first, when you're working with camera cards, it's usually a good idea to first copy the contents from the camera card to your hard drive. Then you have a proper backup for your media that you can go back to anytime you need it. Now, here I have a couple of different camera cards. One I've already copied over to this drive. As you can see here, we have quite a few folders, and inside each of those is a pretty intricate folder hierarchy, okay? You can keep on going deeper and deeper, and you still will never really find any files that you can actually view, okay? But don't worry, Premiere Pro will dig in and find exactly what you need. Here is a camera card that I've plugged directly into my system. This is a much less complicated folder hierarchy, and I can actually burrow in and see the individual movies. So let's take a look at both of these, and to do so, I'm going to go over to the media browser. And I'm going to press tilde to maximize this. And let's take a look at the files on the camera card that I just have plugged into my system first. That's this one right here. So I'll just double click and go into this DCIM folder to access my files. And here they are. Right now I'm in list view, but I'm going to go over to thumbnail view. And here they are. And I can do all the same exact things that I can to clips in my bin. I can hover scrub, I can play these if I want. If I want to bring everything in, I can just select all of them and then right click and choose import. And so if I head over to my project panel, you can see that there they are. However, if you just import files from a camera card, there's a problem. If I select this clip and choose reveal in Finder, you can see that it's pointing right back to that camera card. So that's not going to work. The moment I eject my camera card, all of those files are going to go offline. If you are going to work with media natively from a camera card, that's why you do need to copy it over to a drive first. But in this case, what you can do is actually transcode the media. So we would encode it to a different codec so that Premiere Pro can work with it. And what that does is it creates new media files. So let me delete these, which again just deletes the clips within the project, not the media itself. And I'll go back over to Media Browser, and I want to take a look at my ingest setting. Now, we talked about this just a little bit in the previous movie, but here we're actually going to put it in action. I'm going to select ingest, and then I need to come to my ingest settings to tell Premiere Pro exactly what I want it to do. So it's going to create new media files, but it needs to know how. So from this list, I'm going to choose transcode. And again, this is going to convert these files into a codec that is optimal for editing in Premiere Pro. And under preset, I'm going to choose Apple ProRes 422. And then I need to tell it where I want these new files to live. So instead of putting it in the same folder as the project, let's choose a location. And I'm going to have it go into my media folder. And I'll just create a new folder called Transcoded Assets. Okay, so there we go. I'll choose and OK. Now, I could bring in each of these clips, or with the transcode option, I can actually bring in portions of clips with in and out points. As of this recording, the transcode option is the only one that I have that ability to do this for. I can't do it on copying or proxies. But with transcode, I can. So let's go ahead and just bring in a very small portion. I'm going to mark an in by pressing I. And I'll mark an out just a few seconds later by pressing O. All right, so I have marked an in and an out, and let's go ahead and import that. And because I have my ingest option checked, it's just going to import that very small section. So I'll right-click and choose Import. And now I'll head over to my project panel. And so here's the clip. I'm going to reveal in Finder. And as you can see, it was placed there in my transcoded assets. Okay, so now I have a file that is separate from the camera card that it originally came from. All right, I'm going to go back over to my media browser and let's bring in something else. I'm going to go over to the drive where I've already transferred over my camera card. And I'm just going to burrow in a few levels here. Okay, and so here are those files. Again, I could not see these video files at the Finder level, but Premiere Pro sees them just fine. I can hover scrub, I can play, and of course I can bring these in. So let's go ahead and just bring one in without transcoding. So I'll turn off ingest and I'll right click and choose import. And if I go over to my project panel, you can see that here it is. I can load it, I can work with it. Okay, and if I reveal in Finder, you can see that it's pointing right there to the original files in this camera card folder hierarchy. If, however, I choose to transcode, it's going to create a new file. So let's again just mark a very short segment. I'll mark an in with I and an out with O. Turn on my ingest. My ingest settings are going to remember the very last setting that you put in. So again, it was a transcode, and it's going to that special folder that I set up, so I'm in good shape. And I'll import that and head back over to my project panel, and there's that file. So I can reveal in Finder, and that should be in my transcoded assets folder, which it is. Okay, so I've just demoed these techniques with just a few files here to show you the logistics. Normally, you'd be bringing in dozens or hundreds of files. But hopefully it makes sense in terms of how you can technically often link to your camera car media if you've copied over the contents to a drive, but that a transcoded workflow might often be a better option for editing in Premiere Pro. Now, often what I'll do is transcode what I think I'll need, but then I'll keep all of my raw files on the drive in case I need to dig through them and find something that I didn't originally transcode. Now, to make this sort of thing possible, I want to show you one last thing, and it is this little eyeball right here. And when I click on it, I get a drop-down menu where I have a variety of media formats. And these are the video formats that Premiere Pro can import and work with without any type of transcoding. So if I head into one of these folders, you can see that it identifies the type of media that I'm looking at. And so I technically wouldn't have to transcode it if I didn't want to. But in general, it's just good to be aware of this list because, frankly, some formats aren't supported natively at all, and so you'll need to perform the transcode regardless. All right, so for now, I'm actually going to delete my camera card files from this project to make it empty once again, and that sets us up well for the next movie when we talk about organizing our assets further.